Dr. Harsha de Silva, this question is to you. So we've heard your presidential candidate say in numerous places, and we've read as well, that under him, the government would look at renegotiating the IMF terms and conditions. Today, you actually said that you all are looking at giving additional public sector salary adjustments. I think yesterday or day before, there was a conversation about you all giving 20,000 rupees, or is it a gratis? And I'm not sure whether it is a gratis or a program to the poor. Now, in this context, can you tell us the parameters you're looking at to renegotiate in relation to the three factors of revenue of GDP, gross financing needs, and primary account surplus? And this, at the same time, to ensure that debt sustainability is achieved.
Well, I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. We all know it was us who advocated in 2020, August, the first day I came to Parliament, 9th Parliament, that you guys better go to the IMF and resolve this before we became bankrupt. All you guys laughed at me, said, what nonsense, we have a homegrown solution. There is no homegrown solution or there was no at the time, right? And we all learned lessons. We don't have to be standing here saying, look, we are unable to change any condition in the IMF agreement. We don't buy that. We didn't oppose the government going to the IMF. We didn't vote against it because we knew as a responsible opposition that was necessary at the time. Now, from that day on, we said there are certain things we need to amend. If you recall the graph I put up on the screen that showed how the emerging markets were contributing to global production. It was going up and up and up. And Sri Lanka's case, you saw it going up and then crashing. We are one of the most closed economies in the world. You look at how you measure trade openness, add exports and imports, divide that by GDP, compare against other countries, you'll realize yourself. So we need to ensure that we realign our economy from what some people call import substitution, statist. Remove the anti-tradable bias in our system. Unless you do that, we are never going to get the kind of growth that people are talking about. So for us, the problem in the IMF agreement is for them, debt is debt, growth is growth. And we say no. Debt is our external debt, domestic debt. And we need tradable growth and non-tradable growth. During Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa's time, we had 9% growth in 2012. And it crashed to 3%, 3.5% in 2013 because it was construction-led, non-tradable growth. That is not sustainable. So what we told the IMF is what we need to ensure that we are safe, our debt is sustainable on the external front, is to ensure that we have growth on the tradable front. Now, we need to link those two things. To us, this agreement is more like an extended SBA than an extended fund facility. So therefore, some tilting of the economy, making sure the incentive structures are right so that it is more profitable for investors like yourselves to put money in internationally competitive production rather than sort of be protected behind large protective walls and to be inefficient and yet make money hand over fist and sometimes even think of running for president. So in that context, the other issue we've told the IMF is about equity in taxes. A lot of middle class people working up to say getting 500,000 rupees a month is getting hammered at 36% highest marginal tax rate at 308,000 rupees a month. Can you live with that? But at the same time, we have undertaken to deliver 15.4%. So like I said, on the taxes, we are not changing the DSA parameters. We have been very clear. The 15.4% on taxes, the 2.3%, Pete and I had a great debate. I said, look, Peter, 2.3, 2.1, let's discuss this, right? But essentially, we are not messing around with the DSA. We are not going to do an alternative DSA. The DSA, what you did, Mahinda, what you did, Nandala, is not what is being applied. It is what they did, the staff did. Anybody can download the DSA and do it. But that doesn't mean you can get the IMF to agree to that, because all of those are based on assumptions. You can say that, Professor, you can have 7% growth, but where are you going to get the 7% growth? That's why I said, even post-IMF, to get to $23,000, you need 10% growth year on year on year on year. Can you do that? Let's be realistic, right? So on that basis, what I explained is our middle class tax cut. And we have been extremely responsible. We are not changing the tax-free limits. We are not changing the 36% limit.
Harsha, will the parameters that are currently there, the 2.4% targets that are given by
So
change?
okay. So, okay.
How are you going to find out?
So we got the 95%.
Right.
Then we got the 13%. Within the 13%, we got the 4.5%. We got the 2.3%. And then you got to make sure you have enough debt restructuring to fill the gap. That's all. Right? But within that, certainly, once we get elected on the 22nd of this month, next month, must have the freedom within the parameters, within the contours, to make certain adjustments. So the adjustments we are not talking about here are nothing for you to worry about. We are not going to collapse the program, because we are the people who told to go to the IMF. And also, on the monetary policy side, we are not going to set interest rates. We won't. How can we? The whole point of printing money is setting interest rates. You set interest rates at 5% and tell the central bank, you print at 5%. Right? So we are not, Duminder, we are responsible. Please understand, we have a good team. We have Iran, we have Kabir, myself also included. We know. We worked in this country. We worked overseas. We have been entrepreneurs. We have created wealth. Right? Created jobs. Worked. And also understand. Sajid, I'll tell you the issue. Sajid understands. He gets the pulse of the poor. There is massive poverty. 3 million to 7 million. You see, you can't fill a pot if you keep the pot upside down. You got to make the pot stand with the opening on top so the water goes in. Okay. As much as you want to do all these reforms, it's like pouring water on a pot that is turned upside down.
Thanks, Dr. Harsha.
Thank you, Harsha. Thanks a lot.